Today we're doing some crowd-sourced sketching. So I'm going to be sketching a scene that someone sent me via email. And this is Kate's barn, or at least that's what I'm going to call it. Kate, thank you for sending me this scene from New Zealand. And I thought, well, if I'm going to get fun scenes sent to me all the time, I may as well sketch some of them. And let's just see, taking this really light, really loose, having fun, making a quick sketch, what can we make of a scene like this? And I'll tell you what, it's actually really interesting. The scene has got a real character coming from that panoramic view and those rather sort of fun shapes that the buildings are forming. The first thing that grabs me about this scene is because it's a panoramic view, it's got that really long landscape feel to it. The silhouette is what I think is really probably the most interesting thing to start with. So using my Platinum 3776 pen, which has got my ultra extra fine nib on it, I'm going to start there. I'm going to start by grabbing the top line, the silhouette of our scene. And it's quite amazing how just doing this loosely, and as you can see, as one continuous line, just grabbing the roofs more than anything else, and actually the scene kind of comes together. I'm going to loosen up these mountains. The mountains, I'm going to put them above the roof just to change the composition a bit. Then we've got this little thing, it looks perhaps like a garage on the right. And we can just end that. We can end it there, use that as a nice sort of finishing point, a little sort of structure at the end of our sketch. Then we can come back along. We don't have to actually finish the bottom of any of these houses. We can do that later if we need to. But underneath a strong silhouette, I always think that popping a strong set of vertical lines anchors the scene. So we find all the vertical lines, that's all the poles, that's the edges of the houses. And those features will tell basically the whole story. When we're thinking about sketching, we're not thinking about drawing every detail. We may even just leave out whole areas of the sketch. And so working out what's the minimum number of marks I need to put down to create my scene is a really great way, I think, a really great way of approaching. And like that, all in one line, I would actually be pretty happy to call this done. This is a little sketched study of the scene. But of course, we can keep going, and that's obviously what we're going to be doing. You can see there's many more minutes of this video left. So what am I going to do? I'm going to start finding a few of those little shapes. So we've done the big shapes first, and now I'm going to find some little shapes and some textures or some shadows. So starting with getting the undersides of buildings, finding those little window shapes as they disappear off into the distance, just adding a little bit more context whilst trying to keep the simple geometric feel going. I don't want to overcomplicate this. It's a really fun loose image as it is. I don't want to over explain it. I want to leave it half explained. So now I'm just focusing really on some simple shadows. I think that's the next key step because that starts to explain some of the 3D shape of the scene. It tells us where the light is coming from, and it shows us that each of these simple lines, these single lines, is actually describing a 3D shape, because 3D shapes have shadow. As long as we've got a light source, they have shadow. And with that, I'm going to call my initial sketch, my shapes sketch, done with a little bit of extra sort of line work to give some value and shadow done. We can move on to loose colours. So what about the sky here? Well, the sky's not particularly interesting, but it is a lovely bright blue. And by getting in that lovely sky, again, what we're going to be doing is accentuating the feature that I felt earlier was key. That is accentuating that silhouette line. Suddenly, this white set of buildings really pops forward. And I don't want the sky too happy, too blue, so just drop in on my cobalt blue, cobalt turquoise, also dropped in a little touch of indigo, just for a bit of drama, a bit of creative drama. You could call it clouds, or you could call it just abstract painting, whatever you like, really. Moving on, let's get these barns. Now, I don't want to colour the whole barns in. I don't want to do paint by numbers. So what I'm going to do is use my flat brush here with a bit of quinacridone sienna to just find, again, some of the basic areas. But by using these painterly strokes, by leaving brush marks on our painting, Hopefully what we're also doing is accentuating that vertical feel. Remember I said that for me, that horizon, that silhouette is key, as is the kind of strong verticals coming down for it. Well, using big vertical brush strokes, for me, is a great way to just extend that idea. Now we've got this big white scape in front of us now, so I'm going to just use some big bold brush marks to come across, show that there is something going on in the front, and also think about those kind of lines of perspective. There's like a grid of perspective that comes through all of our scenes, and that's something that we can build on through the rest of this. And hopefully, if you don't understand exactly what I mean now, you will by the end of this sketch, because I have grand plans for some simple ink work to just build more of that interest into the front. The key here is that we are still doing loose colours. So don't expect, even though this is a very quick sketch, we're only 6 minutes in and we could call it loose and finished, but don't expect it to actually be finished yet. We need layers. We need at least one more layer of colour, maybe a bit more ink to actually have this finished. That doesn't mean in our first layer we can't add a bit more bold. So here I've mixed some Scarlet Lake into my quinacridone sienna with a bit of indigo to create this kind of warm brown colour. And I'm using that to add, again, a bit of variation, a bit of shadow, and block in some more colours in those painterly strokes, showing off those vertical lines. Got a big bleed coming into the sky, but that's easily fixed just by cleaning our brush off, lifting it, and accepting that these things happen in watercolours, especially when you're going for a really quick and lively sketch. A few touches in the foreground to really get that variation, and like that, we're ready to call our loose colours done. And look what happens when it dries. It's not totally dry, the sky you can see is a little bit wet, but it's mostly dry, and actually it's become a lot flatter. It looked a bit mad before, and now it's come way back. And this, what we're doing now, is adding bold colours. This time I've moved to a smaller brush. We have that underlying loose wash with those painterly strokes giving that vertical feel. And now we can come in with a smaller brush which will naturally paint more dark or with a higher tone or higher saturation. And we can be more specific with it. We can pick out more specific types of shadows and more specific areas of high value. And in doing so, just like I was talking about before, when I was saying to be 3D you need shadow, well hopefully we start to see that even more now. It's important not to overdo things though, so some of these lines feel a bit hard, so what I've just done is come in with my brush and soften out a couple of those lines, particularly in the kind of door to the barn there. Hard lines create busyness, and in a simple sketch we don't want many busy hard lines. We want it to flow and blend. That's where we get really quick interest without it feeling overworked. Using a bit of cobalt turquoise now to just get some of these rooftops in. It's a nice colour to use because we've already used it in the sky a little bit, and now we feel like we're reflecting the sky. Notice how I'm leaving loads of white on the roofs, so they are quite bright. They're one of the brightest areas of our picture, so I don't want them to be coloured in entirely. I want them to have a suggestion of texture. And I can't actually see much texture in the reference I've got here, but it feels like a sort of tin roof, which is what I've gone for with those textures. And we're back. This is step 4. As you may know, if you watch my channel, I split things into simple step-by-step processes. And this is my normal process, step 4, adding some more ink. And I call this restructuring, because that's exactly what we're doing. We're taking that madness, that loose wash, those bold colours. We're seeing what's happened, what's worked, and we are adapting our image to fit that, as well as looking at the reference and making sure that the key elements of the reference and what we want in the scene are captured. I'm using the same ultra extra fine nib, but look, just by pressing a little bit more boldly, well, we get a much bolder line. That's helped in part because watercolour paper, indeed any paper, after you've painted watercolours on it, the lines will naturally be bolder. So we need to be careful. We need to not overwork this, but focus on those key things. And what are the key things? I've said it several times, and you can disagree, but for me, my sense of this scene is that the key is that silhouette and those strong vertical lines. So moving around little by little, we are just picking out those key bits. And then we move on, just like we did with our original pen work. We went from big shapes to little shapes. Move on. Start getting those little shapes, start getting those window shapes, start getting those little details, those smaller bits. Just being careful, of course, not to overwork it. This is a really simple, really light, really loose sketch. We're going to be finished in a few minutes, and we don't want to have finished in a few minutes and overdone it. It's quite a talent to be able to work fast, but also do too much. I say it's a talent. I'm joking, of course. It's actually very easy to do. When we are working fast, we can get lost, keep going too much in one place, not remember to jump around the image. And you can see, hopefully, that I'm jumping around the image, just looking, what do we need? And this is where I'm talking about the perspective grid. Doesn't that open ground in front of us feel a bit empty and a bit directionless? We can use this kind of architectural trick. So I'm just putting in a perspective grid in the front, and suddenly, well, for me, it's explained a bit more. We understand now what's going on in the front. It's not just a flat wash. It's not like falling off a cliff. No, we can see the perspective of the scene. And lastly, we can move on to those finishing touches, just adding a little more bold colour. This cobalt turquoise was working really well for me, so I thought just popping it in a few places. And then when we've done that, we can go with our pen and go, you know what? The way to get real contrast, we've mentioned contrast is shape, but contrast is also drama. The way to get real contrast in ink and watercolour, especially in quick sketches, is with that ink. So we can come in, add little scribbly textures, add really dark black windows to just create a little bit more of something going on in our image. And there's a few bits I've left out. There's windows under this awning, there's windows on the side. I hadn't fully, for some reason, explained this window in the middle. And we can also just create little shapes that we think make it a bit more interesting. And just like that, and call it done. So I put my signature at the top, I put my initials in the bottom right, and my scene is complete. But today we're doing a little bonus step. So normally I do 5 steps, as I said. But recently, and if you've been on any of my lives, you'll have seen me talking about playing with POSCA pens. So POSCA pens are an acrylic marker. They come in all sorts of colours. I think they've got like 50 or 60 different colours. I've been playing with some bright colours, blues, reds, yellows, bit of white sometimes, to add a kind of 3D element. I say 3D because acrylic, which is what's coming out of these pens, is opaque. It sits on top of the watercolours. And I think it's a really fun touch for these scenes. It's not realistic. It's definitely got character. It's definitely an artistic touch rather than a touch for the reference photo. But for me, it adds something else, something interesting. And like that, we're done. Check out the next tutorial linked just above me here. And happy sketching.